do it. Now, what is matrices? Matrices, we write matrices in the form of rows and columns. So, matrices, they are always written in rows and columns, right? Matrices itself, they are labeled capital or uppercase. And elements of matrices. Elements, that means what is the content, what is going on inside the matrices. They are labeled lowercase. What does that mean? Lowercase version of the same letter. That means if I am saying elements of matrix, elements of matrix A. So we are assuming that the matrix is A, right? And we have to find out or write it down how to write the elements. It will look like something like this. A. We used uppercase to write the matrix, but the elements lowercase. And I can say I, J, where I is nothing but row and J is your. Now, what is a row and what is a column? How I understand, because it is confusing for me. Uh, I understand row as this, up and down. So row is nothing but up and down, right? Now column from one way to the other. So for me to understand, column is side, side, going in this direction. So this helps me to understand what is a row and what is a column. And if in matrices they are talking about A is I, J, that means A first comes, first we are talking about the row and then we are talking about the column. A, I, J. And if we have to talk about the matrix, the matrices itself, how to label it, that will be the uppercase. When we are talking about the elements, then we always use the lowercase with the identity I, J. I, J is nothing but row and column. Now, it's called scalar multiplication. What is scalar multiplication? Scalar multiplication is nothing but it is a real number that is being multiplied by every term in a matrix. It is nothing but just like distribution. So it is a distributive property that we use. How? If I say, let's say A is this matrix 5, -2, 4, -10, 1, 3, right? And they asked you to perform scalar matrix, scalar multiplication to calculate. They want you to calculate, say, 4a. That means whatever is in A, it needs to be multiplied with 4. If I try that, what will happen? What is 4 times 5? So we are multiplying everything with 4. We are multiplying everything with 4. So 4 times 5, it will give you 20. 4 times negative 2, negative 8. 4 times 4, 16. 4 times negative 10, negative 40. 4 times 1 is 4. And 4 times 3 is 3. So this is called scalar multiplication. If they ask you to apply scalar multiplication, this is nothing but you are distributing 4 with all the elements that are present in the matrix. Now adding and subtracting. What is matrices? What is the difference between matrix and matrices? Matrices is nothing but the plural of matrix. When we are talking about one, then it's a matrix. When we are talking about more than one, then it becomes matrices. And adding and subtracting. When you can add you can add or subtract only when they are of the same size. What does that mean? That means it means matching number of rows and a matching number of columns. Yes, sir? This is nothing but adding and subtracting. If I ask you to identify what is the dimension of the particular matrix, let's say example, if I ask you what is the dimension of this one? It is only 1 times 1 row and 1 column, right? If I change a question something like this, 0 minus 6, 15, right? Up, down. Up, down is what? Up and down is row, right? So 3 times 1, right? That's why I asked you to understand what is a row and column really well. Row, up, down. Column is side, right? Sort of. So we talk about row and column. This is row and this is column, right? Row and column. If I change the question something like this, 5, 2, negative 7, 0, negative 2, and 4. If I ask you what is the dimension? So row is nothing but up, down. So how many up and down? 1, 2, and 3, right? So 3. And column is side. How many? 1, 2. 3 is to 2. So this is the dimension of a matrix. Let's try this example of adding. Question says 5, 1, negative 2, negative 4. And you need to add them to the another matrix, which is nothing but 1, 8, 0, and negative 3. Now, what it says, you can add or subtract only when you have matching number of rows and a matching number of columns, right? So if I have to write the dimension of this one, up and down, 2, side to side, 2, 2 times 2. This is also 2 times 2, right? Row, row, same number of row. Column, column, right? So same matching number of rows and matching number of columns. And if I have to add it, what will I do? I will create another matrix. This is my matrix, right? And I will add them. 5 plus 1, that will be 6. But write step by step. 1 and 8. -2 plus 0 and -4 and -3. So the end result will be 6, 9, -2, -7. Right? Now I did this question with you. I want you to try one question for me. In fact, try one more. And one question for scalar matrix. If A is equal to 5, 0, -3, -1, 4, 8, find -3, 8,